Hello and welcome to Wonderful Wednesday. We thought that we would start doing a midweek, once a week little reflection that we're going to call Wonderful Wednesday, that we hope will just give us all a chance to pause, take stock of our lives during this challenging time when so much of life has changed. So we hope you find these encouraging, inspiring and thought-provoking as we journey together during this time. So we're going to be taking our inspiration and encouragement from the life of Jesus. And I believe that he showed us more than anyone else what it is to be fully alive and fully human, and how to face any season of life with both humility and love. And today we're on a Wednesday, of course, and this Wednesday is the Wednesday of Holy Week, or the week leading up to Easter Sunday, when Christians think about what happened to Jesus before his death and then his coming back to life. And this Wednesday in Holy Week in different Christian traditions has different names, but the name that I found particularly intriguing and exciting for this Wednesday is Spy Wednesday. I think that's a pretty awesome name. But before we get too excited thinking about images of James Bond gallivanting around the globe, sipping cocktails, we actually need to have a bit of a think about what this name Spy Wednesday really means. So this Wednesday before Easter Sunday, in fact, refers to the day when Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' closest friends, one of his inner circle, went and betrayed Jesus to his enemies, the chief priests. And in the book of Matthew, in the Bible, chapter 26, verses 14 to 16, it says this: Judas went to the chief priests and asked them, "What will you give me if I deliver him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand Jesus over to them. So for about 5 weeks' worth of wages, Judas led Jesus, the man that he had followed for a number of years, his teacher, his confidant, over to his enemies. Judas became a spy, someone who used his privileged access to Jesus to do him great harm. And Judas finds his opportunity after something called the Last Supper, when Jesus is praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he leads the soldiers and the chief priests to Jesus, who arrest him. Now, in the Bible accounts, we don't know a huge amount really about Judas, who he was, what he was like, his relationship with Jesus. We know he was one of the 12 closest friends of Jesus. And we certainly don't know anything about his motivation for becoming a spy. We can only really imagine. And these are some possible motivations as to why he did what he did. Maybe it was because of the money. Maybe the greed, the thrill of that easy money, those 30 pieces of silver. Or maybe there was financial hardship he was experiencing. He, Judas, like so many of Jesus' closest friends, had given up a huge amount to follow Jesus, including careers and incomes. Maybe he was feeling the pinch. Maybe it was more to do with power and status. The knowledge for Judas that he had helped the most powerful men in the Jewish faith, those chief priests, and that maybe he hoped that favour would follow in turn. Maybe Judas had become disillusioned with his life, disillusioned with this life of following Jesus. Maybe the cost of following him had become just too great. Maybe Judas had actually hoped that Jesus would be a different kind of teacher and leader, maybe more of a rebel leader who would overthrow the Romans who were oppressing the Jewish people at this time. And in fact, Jesus had turned out to be a humble, suffering servant who not long before this had just washed his disciples' feet. Maybe for Judas it was a complex mix of some or all of these motivations, and maybe others. Well, I think it's quite easy for us to dismiss Judas on this Spy Wednesday, to label him as the bad guy, to think that we could never be like Judas. But unfortunately, as I reflect a bit more on this, I start to see myself in some of Judas's behaviour. I may not have sold Jesus to his enemies for 30 pieces of silver, but many times I in my own life are so tempted to put impressing others, craving status, power, fame, fortune before Jesus, before the simple humility that Jesus demonstrated. Many times I don't want to be generous with my own money. I want it for myself. Maybe sometimes my kind acts mask a desire for control or for pleasing others more than for pure love. So if, like me, you'd like to take some time today to ponder some of these thoughts, to look at maybe just your motivations for what you do today. Not to kind of obsess about them and agonise over them, but rather to think and pray, to bring those thoughts and those motivations behind our behaviour to Jesus and ask him that he would make us more humble and more kind just as he is. So I hope you have a great Spy Wednesday, and I hope this has been helpful, and we look forward to doing this again next Wednesday. Thanks for listening. Bye.